Hello and welcome to the Denver Homes Market Report. This is Ricky.schoonover of Mode Denver Real Estate and the host of this monthly podcast brought to you by Denver's very own real estate website, you guessed it, www.denverhomesmarket.com. This month has been a good one for the real estate industry. We just closed out October of 2021 and we have so much to go over today. I'm going to do my best to cut this down in a way where you can get all this information in a clear and concise manner. Let's just take a guess out there. What does your gut tell you? Did we sell more homes in October of 2020 during the pandemic, or did we sell more homes this past October 2021? And then what about inventory? We keep hearing that the inventory is low. If that is the case, that we have low inventory and a steady demand, that we are still in a seller's market, is that still true? In addition, did we have more inventory last year, October, or this year, October 2021? Those are all super exciting things you and I can discover here today. However, before I start throwing a bunch of numbers and statistics your way, I have another topic I want to bring up with you. And today's topic is centered around what is the norms. And what I mean by that are what are the give and takes that are on both sides of the transaction in the current market? What are buyers typically asking for or maybe not asking for? And then what are sellers willing to do or perhaps not willing to do? So what do you think I mean by this? What is the norms? When it comes to real estate, whether you're a buyer or a seller, both sides of the spectrum need to know what the current market provides as far as what the norms are. Let's say you're selling your home. Let's say you have decided not to use a realtor, because you have a relative or a friend who happens to be a real estate attorney. And somehow this family or friend has the time to help you find the home of your dreams, then walk you through the negotiations back and forth with the seller and what the norms are for the home inspections. Then they got the title process to work through and, of course, your lender in the loan process. So first off, family, friends, or otherwise, real estate attorneys do not do this as a normal course of their business. Legally, sure, they can write up contracts, of course. However, there is a high level of probability they will not know the answer to this burning question, what are the norms? So in order to answer some of these, let's start with the seller who is trying to sell their home. Let's say they are set on going this alone. They have that family friend who's the real estate attorney. They must know better than a realtor anyway, right? So the seller decides they will try to sell this home on their own with their family or friend attorney helping them with the paperwork. They also want to buy another home. So they have a plan to sell their current home, but they also want to buy their next home. However, they need to close on their current home. They need to free up that money they have tied up in their current home before they can buy their next. So with this transaction, there are several things the seller can do to help make this work seamlessly. First and foremost, hire a realtor, right? We do it every day. But the biggest mistake I see in these type of scenarios is the seller goes out looking for their new home. They want to go see where they're going to move into, right? What their new home is going to look like, even before their current house is on the market. This is mistake number one. Unless you want to dump off your current home to some investor who will no doubt, even if they make it very, very tricky, they will no doubt build in a 20 to 30% return on the investment for themselves. If you're lucky enough to be in that 1% type, the one who has plenty of money and plenty of credit and can just go out and buy your next home and then worry about selling your old home later, that's great. Then, of course, there's bridge loans for this very purpose. But they are not cheap, and you'll need to be very well qualified, and you'll have to be ready to carry both mortgages, your new house and your current house. Even though you plan to sell the other home as soon as you move into your new one, your lender will want to make sure you can carry both loans just in case, your old home doesn't sell right away, or maybe the market takes an unexpected downturn and you don't get the price that you were budgeting for when you bought your new home. The lender will always work to protect themselves. Trust me. Now, quickly, let's bring up a buyer scenario as well, just to add into this mix. So our buyer also doesn't want to work with a realtor, which, by the way, is really sad, or at least uninformed. I mean, they may not even know the norms in this situation. And the norms are that by virtue of their new home being listed on their local MLS board, that their buyer broker representation has already agreed to be paid by the seller's broker. That is correct. The vast majority of homes sold in metro areas are indeed sold through the local MLS. And in that process, as part of the norms, the seller has already agreed to pay their listing brokerage a commission. And in turn, for utilizing the MLS, the listing brokerage has already agreed to share their commissions with whoever brings the buyer. Now, of course, they have to be licensed, real estate brokers. So as far as a buyer, you have so much power. You get to choose your own realtor, and it doesn't cost you a dime. The seller pays for your representation. So you call me, and you have no intention of buying your house for at least the next 6 months because you are a smart buyer and you want to be prepared ahead of time. So you want me to kind of help you locate your new home and start mapping out areas where you may want to live. We'll have some discussions based around your, what your lifestyle is and the type of features that you would like to see in your new neighborhood. So then we get started. We kind of start locating these areas and these neighborhoods that you may like. We spend a few evenings and maybe our weekends going out and looking at the areas and popping our heads into a few homes just to kind of get a feel for the area. See what kind of homes are available. Then we spend the next 6 months together. You work with your lender, you get all your finances lined up, you know what your credit score is, you know how much money you got to come in with your down payment, you know what your monthly payment will be, and that 6 months goes by pretty fast. And in the end, you do not make any missteps. I'm there to guide you every step of the way. We've looked at dozens of homes in several different neighborhoods. Your lease is nearly up and you are ready to buy your new home. Guess what? After all that 6 months, you as the buyer pay my brokerage $0. That's right. The vast majority of deals, you as the buyer pay $0 in real estate commissions. It does not matter if you call me early on and we plan your transaction out together to make sure that we got all of our ducks in a row, or if you're one of these ones that see something for sale and you run over there on the steps and you go look at it and obviously the door is locked. So you call me up and say, "Hey Ricky, I'm standing on the front steps of this place and I really love it. This is the one I want to get. Can you get me in there?" And I don't know you, you don't know me, you just called me off of an ad or something. So I cruise over there and let you into the house, and you want to buy it right away. And then we go through and we find out that you're not set up with your lender. You're really not, you thought you really liked the house, but the area, you didn't know that there was a freeway going next to it, whatever it is. You just hadn't done your homework. Well, let's say we go ahead and buy the house and you close. I get paid the same, and it doesn't come from you as the buyer. It would have come from the seller's brokerage. So anyway, that's for the buyer's brokers. If you want to buy a house, get your real estate agent or your realtor involved early on. It doesn't cost you a dime, and they're gonna make the same amount of commission whether they're working with you for 6 months or they're working with you for 6 minutes. It doesn't matter. So those are the two scenarios. We have a seller and a buyer where for whatever reason they've decided not to hire a realtor. So now you're coming up on the holidays. And if anyone in your circle has bought a house recently, or yourself have bought a house recently, when you are gathered for these coming up holidays, there will no doubt be discussions about real estate. The ups and the downs of your transaction, what the seller did for you, or what you did for the seller as the buyer, or if you're the seller, what you did for your buyer, what your buyer did for you as the seller. I can just picture someone mentioning that they had an offer, that the buyer had to offer up 60 days post-occupancy to their seller after they bought the home so that the seller could transition into their new home. You go on and say that to the seller got to stay there for free for those 60 days. Then, of course, you have that aunt or uncle, the ones. We all have them. What the heck? You bought the house, and then after you paid, you had to let them stay there for free for 60 days? Man, I tell you what, I sure in the heck would not agree to that. I bought my house 5 years ago, and we didn't have to do that. Or you mentioned, you're in the middle of selling your home, and you've agreed to replace the water heater, which was about 12 years old and had some corrosion, and you're also adding a radon mitigation system for your buyer because the radon came up high. And the same relatives pipe up and say, man, you're getting screwed. I didn't have to do any of that stuff when I sold my house a couple of years back. Anyway, there are all these reasons why your friend, even those who happen to be real estate attorneys, are not your best bet when buying and selling homes. The reason the market is constantly evolving and what might be normal concessions today might be something absurd a year from now. There are no way of really knowing what the normal concessions for either side are. The only way you know the current market conditions is by reaching out to your trusted realtor or your real estate professional. Each deal is different, and there are many factors that play into what a buyer or a seller should be ready to accept as a concession to make the deal work. The main one is how many offers did you get? If you were on the market for a short period of time and you had multiple offers come in and you're the seller, you can be a bit more bullish. However, if you were on the market for a few weeks and finally got that one lowball offer, you may need to be prepared to make some concessions to your buyer to make sure they don't walk away from your deal. This works for the buyer as well. If you jumped in on a bidding war and you won, you may have had to waive some of the norms in order to beat out your competition. Maybe you agreed in your purchase agreement not to ask for any repairs, or maybe you agreed up front as that post-occupancy and give the seller, a 60 days post-close so they can move into their new place. Maybe those few things are what gave you the edge. Your seller took your offer because they liked the idea that they would not have to make any repairs, or that they can stay in the home after the sale while they transition into their new home. That might have been what helped you win the deal. So the normal concessions, whether that be from a seller or from the buyer's perspective, they are constantly evolving, and they're based on the current market conditions, which change daily. This is why when you are seeking guidance of a professional realtor, it's important to choose one you feel will do the best job for you. Someone who's doing a fair number of deals. They're out there in the field. Make sure you ask questions and verify that who you're hiring is actually the person doing the work. You may do an interview and it shows them doing, hundreds of homes a year. First off, that would be a red flag. If they were selling hundreds of homes a year, how on earth would I have time to take care of you as my client? Then you dig a little deeper and you realize this person that you're interviewing is actually part of a larger team. So when you call into the office, you really have no idea who you're getting. You don't know who you're hiring. They don't know you. They don't know your house. They don't know your transactions. So every time you're calling, they're going on the computer and trying to find your file so they can speak to you about your deal. So this is why, first off, I do not use a team. When you hire me, you're getting me, and I will be your main point of contact from day one that we meet till the closing table and well beyond. When you call me, I'll answer the phone. It's not some assistant or someone who's not familiar with your home or the transaction. I also limit the number of clients I take on at any given time. I only work with 4 clients at a time. I manage my pipeline, and I make sure I always have time for you. I want my clients to feel like they are my top priority as much as possible. I want them to feel like they are my only client. Okay. So today we talked about the normal concessions and how that is a moving target. And whether you're a seller or a buyer, you need an active professional on your side. Now let's go over the numbers for last month and compare those numbers to last year's October to this year, October 2021. So last year, October, we sold 11,084 homes. And this year, October 2021, we sold 8,894. So last year, during the pandemic, we sold 2,000 more homes, actually 2,190 more homes than this current October 2021. Now, why is that? Is the market crashing? Well, probably not. Let's look at inventory levels. Now, last year, October 2020, we had a total of 20,677 homes for sale during the month of October. Now, this same month, October 2021, we had just 10,000. I mean, that's less than half the homes available to sell. When you look at supply and demand, it's easy to see why prices had skyrocketed. There are no shortages of buyers out there, but there is not so much to choose from. So we are still in a seller's market. The interest rates remain low, which is good. The market's moving along, but we really need more homes to be put on the market for these buyers. If you're thinking of buying a home, be ready to get to work with me in doing so. It won't be easy, but I assure you, I know the current market conditions. And if you're a seller, sure, we need to be reasonable on the list price. However, I feel confident we'll get your home sold and we'll work to expose your home to as many potential buyers as possible, helping you achieve that almighty full market value. I mean, it's your home. You invested in it. You should reap the rewards. Whether you are looking to buy or sell, or you're selling your current home and buying another, I'd love to work with you. Give me a call, 720-688-5110. This is once again Ricky Schoonover, Mode Denver Real Estate. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Have a great month of November. We're off to a great start. Today's got nice weather. And we'll circle back once this month is over. Get you up to speed on where the market's going and what I'm seeing out there day to day. Thank you so much for listening to the Denver Homes Market Report. For more information, please visit my website, www.denverhomesmarket.com.